Coming up next, the black folk in the Senate are putting pressure on Joe Biden. But for what this time? We'll find out more in the political update coming up after this mix. And if you would like to be featured in the mix, you can be sure to go to www.nightmareradioshow.com to submit your music for a chance to be selected.
Keep it locked. We'll be right back. Democrats are calling on Joe Biden to address disparate and often humane treatment of black migrants. This week, Democratic Senators Cory Booker and Cori Bush teamed up with a few other leaders to call a full address and review of the treatment of black migrants within the U.S. immigration system. So the leaders wrote a letter recalling the disparate and often inhumane treatment within the immigration enforcement process, and they pointed specifically to how the Haitian migrants were treated last year during the Texas border situation in 2021. Mm-hmm. So if you all don't remember, the media went into a frenzy over images of immigration enforcers on horse beating people, depriving them of food, creating all sorts of just excruciating types of conditions. And it just so happened that these are people of color. Most migrant people are people of color, and we just see how people of color are just treated and disregarded. Anyway, the lawmakers called on Biden to end the use of Title 42, which is a public health authority that can prevent migrants from seeking asylum by expelling them from the U.S. And they were also demanding that the Departments of Justice and the Homeland Security Department do a review for the treatment of black migrants within the system as well. So hopefully we can see some change coming with that, because you can't treat people like that, whether they're citizens or not. These are people that are in need, that are in help, and I just wonder how people that would look like them would be treated.
I mean, it's just funny because Joe Byron, or if that's what we're calling him, he put a lot of emphasis on how Trump was treating ICE to get himself through the door of the White House. So he ain't really did shit when it comes down to any of that.
Well, this is a perfect segue, because right now the world is literally watching to see if Joe Byron
is going to blow the whistle.
Right, if he's going to blow the whistle. So Russia's President Putin, basically, y'all know what's happening in Ukraine. Putin doesn't want NATO to bump up on their border. So Ukraine has been seeking admission into the the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This big organization houses 27 European countries. It also includes the U.S. and Canada. So it's just a very large alliance that has proved to be problematic at times and helpful in other times. Ukraine has been trying to get in for quite some time, and Russia has pushed back because Russia is not included in NATO for multiple different reasons. So they don't want any type of border to be shared with somebody that is in allegiance with everybody else. The T is that Russia's gas pipeline funnels gas into a lot of those large Western countries like France and Germany. And so right now, as the entire NATO squad is rallying behind Ukraine, Russia is using its muscle and threatening to cut off the gas supply to the Western European countries, which of course would trickle down and affect us here in the United States.
And gas already high.
Gas has been creeping up. A few weeks ago, we reported the gas was supposed to be going down, but baby, I don't know where has it been going down, because right now it's $3.27, but that's a different conversation. So late breaking news, as apparently last night or so, apparently fire has been cited and reported in the Russian gas lines, and troops have been sent to the borders. And so talk of the town is if the U.S. is going to follow through with what they usually do, sending troops in.
Minding somebody else's business. Well, all you got to do is press the delete button on these damn student loans. What is so hard about that? What is so hard about that, Joe?
If you got one thing you can say to Joe Biden.
Everybody else's business. but ours.
I mean, but this is not something that's exclusive to Joe Biden's administration. That's just the culture of the U.S. We have always inserted ourselves because of these alliances and because of these treaties and because of these conversations that have had behind closed doors.
But I promise you this: when our good friend Donald was in office, he was holding hands with Putin, and we didn't have these problems.
And see, the one thing about Donald Trump was that he had the balls to back that shit up. Nobody else may have supported him when it came to the decisions that he wanted to make, but every other president, for the most part, and specifically Joe Biden, has been very, very, I mean, you do have to approach those types of relationships because they're volatile. And it may be a good or a bad thing that Donald Trump didn't have no coof when it came to dealing with those types of relations. But Joe Biden is just taking his sweet time and walking on eggshells around everything. And we just need you to man up. What you gonna do?
We need you to stand up, like I said last week.
Yeah, we need you to stand up in a lot of things. We got a list for you, but we'll run that later. Anyway, coming up next, we're stepping into the Rim segment with the super producer, Jay Reed, and engineer Kyle Petty. Can't wait to have this conversation. Keep it locked. We'll be right back.